It's Jake here with Leor. Would you ask a few questions? Do a short little interview about your trip to the States. How's it going?
It is going fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm having a good day. It's a nice warm summer, and I'm just having fun. But I'm very excited to hear how your trip was.
Well, thank you very much. It was phenomenal. It was inspiring, very exciting, and also an opportunity to not only tour throughout. I think it was 5 states in the U.S., but also go down to Latin America.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
So just really quick, walk me through exactly where you were.
sure. So altogether it was around a 17-day tour.
Okay.
AMHSI JNF started off in Denver, where it was a very exciting time. We had over 650 people attend a JNF annual breakfast in celebration of education and Alexander Muss High School in Israel. So I was in Denver. From there on to Tampa, Florida. Isn't that where you're from?
Yes, it is actually where I'm from.
A very pleasant place, I must say.
Glad to hear you liked it.
From Tampa, went over to Miami, which was also very exciting to be there. Miami up to Baltimore, the DC area, and on to New York. And from there, flew down to Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Wow, how long was that flight?
That's a 10-hour flight,
Wow,
almost like Tel Aviv to New York.
that almost is, yeah.
So from there to Argentina, and then from Argentina down to Uruguay.
Okay.
And down in Uruguay, there was the KKL JNF Latin American Conference,
Oh wow.
which is a biannual gathering of the Jewish communities in South America, Latin America, which was amazing, and I was very excited to be able to attend and represent our amazing institution and speak on our behalf and plant some seeds for the future.
That sounds really awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That's all very good to hear. I'm glad to hear you liked it. So, just a little bit quick. Sorry to really press you about the detail, but sort of walk me through exactly how it was, sort of day to day. Like, you got off the plane and then immediately you hit the ground running. Sort of went to all these conferences and.
That's how it works, Yeah, no time to spare. So when we travel and staff comes to visit across not just the U.S. but around the world. I mean, we just had an educator out in Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo, in Australia, and of course myself and other colleagues of mine who are traveling across. We fill up our itinerary with meetings, with presentations, with visits to high schools for recruitment opportunities, as well as fundraising and development, which is critical to our work. So the days are jam-packed.
It sounds like it, yeah. All right. Well, that all sounds very great. One of the things you talked about was sort of the difference between you sound like for the most part you were in the United States, and then for the tail end of it, I don't know, like last 4 or 5 days you were in South America.
Yes, so it was the first, I guess it was 10 days or so that I was in the States, meetings with not just potential donors, but supporters of ours, alumni of ours who are now older, who are now parents of students that are attending our program, as well as working closely with our JNF colleagues on the ground to provide opportunities for funding not only the program, but building opportunities on campus, scholarships, educators' missions. We're bringing teachers from around the United States on our Teachers and Administrators Institute to come and visit our program, to learn more about our program so that they in hand would open up their doors for recruitment. So it's those kinds of meetings, parlor meetings, alumni and JNF future gatherings to bring our sort of younger alumni, young professionals into the fold, into the JNF family. And then from there, like I said, we had this conference down in Uruguay, which was run primarily in Spanish and Portuguese. But what I found was that the language of Zionism transcends all barriers.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about Israel, you talk about education, the next generation, and what is happening here, if there's anything that I found, is that everywhere I went, whether it was the Jewish community of Denver and Tampa, New York, and so on, as well as South America. And there I was able to meet with the delegations from Brazil, Cuba, Mexico, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Panama. The concern is the same across the board, no matter which Jewish community we're talking about. And the number one primary concern and investment is in education of our next generation.
Definitely. I can definitely And I definitely agree that's a very good point, and agree with everyone that that is something definitely we should focus on. And I think it's something that Alexander Mutz definitely does a good job at.
That's right. You know, one of the things I try to explain to everyone is that they're really wonderful programs out there, and never would I ever come down and say we're the best, although I think we're up there, of course. But when it comes to an academic semester abroad in Israel, really we're second to none. There are amazing travel groups out there. There are wonderful summer camps. A big platform for the South American youth there are their Nuot, or their youth movements, which are very active, very involving. And what happens is that a lot of the students from the South American Jewish communities do end up coming to Israel with their youth groups. But that's a very different experience, and I try to explain that to them in that, yes, they go and they visit the country and they travel around with their peers, but some of the pieces that they're missing out on is face value, for example, is the exposure to the international Jewish community.
Okay.
And that's something that they get at the Alexander Mutz High School in Israel, where when they come to our campus and our program, they will be engaged with, learning with, encountering Jewish high school students from around the world, which includes, of course, the United States, Australia. We have students from Canada, from Vienna, Austria, and other parts of the world, so that their students coming from South America, sure, they may be coming with their peers from their community, but they would also be exposed to Jewish high school students from around the world. That would enhance their experience, that would grow their network globally, and help them realize that, hey, they are a part of something much larger than the community they came from, irrespective of how big or small that community is. That's number one. Number two is, we are an academic program in Israel. We don't lie about that. We don't want to be anything other than that. It's who we are. We are best at what we do. And so when their students come to us, they also get an academic experience where they're not just, checking off the list saying, I touched the Wailing Wall, I climbed Masada, I may have kissed an Israeli soldier or not. I don't know, whatever that is, of course, right? But they're actually getting an academic experience, which will not only help them personally internalize the knowledge and information that they gain from the program in Israel, but it also prepares them for life on college, where they come to us, they're not packing their bags every other or 2 nights and going on to their next stop. Here they're living on a campus, which is a fully loaded campus, giving them that college preparatory experience that they need before they go to school in university. And just to share, for a lot of the Latin American Jewish community, they love that idea that we are an American accredited high school in Israel, that we teach in English. Our platform is the global Jewish community, and we also are a real college prep program, because a lot of these next generation high school students do end up wanting to attend universities and colleges in North America. So our program really fits the bill in so many different ways. And I have to say, I left there knowing that they are very excited about this program, and they've invited me to come back and return and to now take it to the next level.
I actually had no idea about that. That sounds very interesting, and I mean, that is incredibly interesting to find out that both that countries in Latin America are interested in sending students to North America and to English schools in general. I definitely think that's something interesting. And I mean, obviously, I'm a bit biased towards English, but I think it's definitely a helpful skill that everyone should have. And that sounds really awesome. Would you say over the last, 5-10 years, that the sort of interest and the amount of, I guess, publicity in Latin America for not just Alexander Mutz, but for schools in general, for this sort of thing has grown?
Yeah, I think it's grown. First of all, the world's become a smaller place. So
that is definitely true.
Right? When with the internet, we all know, and social media, information is available with the click of a button. So everyone knows about what's happening around the world. And I think to add to that is really the global climate today, politically, not just in general, but also where Israel stands in the around the world today. We all know what's happening in Europe with anti-Israel sentiments, which have now extended beyond simple protests and have become verbal and physical assaults on Jews in France and in the UK and in other countries across Europe. We know about the BDS campaign that has taken off on universities, certain universities, not all, but they are happening across the United States. We know that our Jewish youth and college students are battling. They're battling for our right, for our place as a nation among nations, to be open and just. And so they're experiencing that on college campus in the U.S. And then when it comes to South America, really the Jewish communities there, while some of them are strong and some of them are larger than the smaller ones, of course, they too have a challenge there in engaging their youth Jewishly in terms of the next generation. So they see this as an opportunity to enhance their next generation's relationship with Jewish identity, Jewish peoplehood, and of course, Israel being central to the Jewish people.
That all sounds really great. I definitely kind of agree with that. I definitely have been hearing such things. My friends that are in university in the United States, definitely, a lot of them have been seeing a lot of the effects of everything from the more organized BDS movements to more talk about it, being more, I guess, aware of the Jewish identity and relation to Israel, and especially this being election year as well. That definitely is something that is striking a chord with many, I say young, but college-age Americans who are not that young, but young enough as to where they can see the sort of things growing in the world of college, in the world of university, and sort of have discussions and talk about things like that as well, and sort of figure out their own identity, their own relationship with Israel.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, you actually, Jake, you're from Tampa originally, right?
I am, yes.
So I'm going to switch the table on you just for a second here, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up in Tampa, born and raised in Tampa?
I actually, I was born in Atlanta. I lived there for about 3 months. Then I moved to South Bend, Indiana, which is a decent-sized town, relatively small, but big enough. So I lived there until I was about 11. Then I moved to St. Petersburg, across the bay from Tampa, and then after living a few years there, when I started high school, then I moved to Tampa.
Mm. And you made Aliyah, is that right?
I did. It's been about a year and 4 months.
What made you want to make? Do you have family here? Do you have cousins, parents, anyone living in Israel?
I technically do not. The closest I have is actually the cousin of my cousin, who I had met years and years ago.
The cousin of your cousin is your cousin.
Yes. Well, not normally, yes, but not always.
And so, what made you want to make Aliyah?
It was a number of different reasons. It was something. I mean, I definitely had grown up with the Zionism from my parents.
Oh.
Sort of the love of Israel, appreciating that. I had been here before I came to join the army twice, actually. And then I joined the army.
Wow. What did you do in the army?
I was, for the most part, I say the most part because I was only a year and a half in the army, and I was in a number of different places, but the majority of that was spent in the Iron Dome.
Wow. Iron Dome, Kipat Barzel.
Yes.
So we have you to thank for saving us, for keeping us safe and secure, huh?
I guess
okay.
You could say.
You can say yes.
Yes.
So your parents did something right, I see, huh? They you got the Zionist bug from your parents, as you mentioned.
I did. I definitely think that the way they saw it expressed at me in leaving their Israel, that was not exactly the reaction they were expecting, but they definitely, I'm very thankful that they appreciate what I did and they respect it, and they still, I mean, they care, and they still talk to me, and they still very much love me and appreciate.
Of course.
And I'm definitely glad I did it 100%.
So let me ask you then. You are at an age where most of your peers have probably graduated college by now?
Yes, actually, most of the people in my grade, pretty much everyone, just graduated college about a few weeks ago, a month ago.
So do you feel that by making Aliyah and having served in the army and kind of skipped out on college for now, has that kind of given you a step behind everyone else, or do you feel like you've gained anything, or have you lost something and kind of an edge, or?
Well, I mean, I definitely feel like I have gained something. Being in the army teaches you a lot of very important lessons, and being here, so I definitely have gained something. I was actually in university in the States for 2 years, so I got to experience a little bit of the best of both worlds.
And what was the best of each?
I mean, definitely in college, you have that experience of freedom. It was a great place. I like to learn. I like sort of that academic setting. But I didn't feel very comfortable about what I wanted to do in my profession with my major, and I sort of wanted to take a step back. And as it turned out, I also wanted to do something for Israel. The two sort of came together as a convenient time to do both. And then I ended up coming here, and that was in July of 2014, and now here I am.
Here you are on the HSI J&F radio station here on campus in Hod HaSharon.
Yes.
Fantastic. Let's before we wrap it up. So it sounds like both of us have a lot to share on this show today. First of all, from my end is just having returned from almost a 3-week tour across the U.S. and Latin America, which I must say was, like I said, very inspiring and exciting, and really opened up the door to a lot of potential out there. It seems to me that after 44 years and 25,000 alumni later, HSI is just beginning to realize its impact and potential moving forward. So that's really exciting for me. In terms of yourself, you being now post IDF, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Is it back to school, or is it making an even greater impact? What would you like to be doing?
In an ideal world,